You're listening to the Go Getter Podcast. I'm your host, Candace Janae. I'm a digital marketing and automation strategist and business coach. I'm the CEO and founder of Epic Fab Girl, where we help Christian women entrepreneurs market and scale their service-based businesses beyond six figures as they grow deeper in their faith. So whether you're a coach, speaker, or a service provider, this podcast will drop gems, bringing you tips, strategies, and stories from experts to help you take your life, business, and relationship with God to the next level. Hello and welcome to the Go Getter Podcast. I'm your host, Candace Janae, and I am so excited about today's episode because this is a snippet from our Millions in the Marketplace challenge that we had last December, and it was so crazy. And so today's episode is a conversation that we had with one of the experts who's running a seven-figure business. And when I tell you, I was incredibly blessed by all of the speakers. So if you haven't already heard anything about Millions in the Marketplace, it literally is just a challenge that we did that was focused on helping women that were service-based entrepreneurs hear from stories of people that look like them that have been building and growing and scaling 7+ figure businesses. Okay, so you are going to hear today from one of those talks, and it is going to be amazing. When I tell you, these conversations absolutely blessed me, and I really pray and hope that it blesses you too. So whether you're just listening to this episode as a standalone episode, or you've heard another episode from the Millions in the Marketplace challenge, you already know that you are in for an incredible treat. Make sure you head over to the other episodes if you haven't already listened to them, because they are going to be incredible. But stay tuned for today's episode with our guest expert. We are going to bring up Ashley Kirkwood in just a second, but I'm going to read her bio just so y'all know who you are learning from, okay? So Ashley Kirkwood knows the grind of starting from scratch. In its first year, her company generated just $800. Fast forward, and now Speak Your Way to Cash is a multi-million-dollar coaching firm. Ashley, alongside her dynamo partner, Chris Kirkwood, took Speak Your Way to Cash from a dream to a thriving company. She left a $300,000 corporate law firm job to become an entrepreneur. She is a mother, and that risk of walking away from her job has helped her reap countless rewards. So, first of all, Ashley, you look good, okay? You look good. But welcome to the Millions in the Marketplace challenge. We are so glad to have you.
Yes, I'm glad to be here. What's going on, y'all?
Man, this has been so good. You look great. So, of course, I read your bio, and one of the things I love is that we had an interview probably like maybe 5 or 6 years ago where you literally, at this point, it might have been 7, but it was right after I had quit my job in corporate America. And you were so just encouraged by it and excited by it. But just to think about how much has happened since then, I love seeing your journey, love seeing you grow. So for those who don't know you and who you are, tell us a little bit more about yourself, your business, and your journey to getting to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thank you guys. She said, I love your glasses. I'm big into glasses. So I run a company called Speak Your Way to Cash. We are most known for helping clients land 5- and 6-figure corporate coaching and consulting contracts. So I started my company really by force. I don't know how many of y'all have done this, but I was the only Black woman in corporate America. I was the only Black woman in my department. I was tired of being the only, and I liked the money. I didn't like the disrespect. So if you can relate to that, drop relate in the comments. And I felt like everyone around me felt that I was very successful. So it was not just a job, it became my identity. So I went to Northwestern Law. I worked at this law firm. I was the only Black woman there, which meant whenever a Black woman started, it would be like, hey, that's your new friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm on the interview circuit. That means they must be interviewing a sister today. So I felt a responsibility to be there and to persevere and to make it. but it wasn't what I was supposed to do. And I knew it wasn't what I was supposed to do because, similar to what Lamar said, whenever I want to learn something, I don't start from scratch. So I'm at this law firm, young Black girl at the firm. I was probably 20, I don't know, I was in my early or mid 20s. And so what I did was I was like, okay, Lord, if I'm here, let me go find all the richest partners at this firm. So I went door to door, no invitation, and was like, I want to meet with you 15 minutes. And I asked all of them, why do you love it? Why have you been here over 20 years? What makes you successful and what makes you the best? Because I worked at a firm where you only get there if you're the best. All of them said how much work they put into it, how much they loved it. One of the partners, who was one of the top billing partners, probably bringing in 20, 30 million a year with no team, Candace, he got to keep that money. Okay. Man, if I could have made it work, I'd still be there. So he was telling me that he had an office at every house he owned. He owned houses all around the world, and even his vacation home had an office, and he worked every day of his life, not because he had to, but because he loved it. And he wanted to be the absolute best at it. And it was in that moment that I realized this is not what I'm supposed to do, because I don't have the capacity or the desire to work that hard at it. But it showed me what greatness looked like, because greatness is I will do whatever it takes to be the absolute best at it, not to beat anyone else, but because that's my personal standard of greatness. And I wanted to find the thing that I felt that way about, that every day I would do it, even though I'm traveling the world, I'm on vacation with my family. I love spending time with my family, but like I want to invest in my craft. That was what greatness looks like. And I had the drive, but it wasn't towards the right vehicle. So that's when I knew I needed to leave. And I negotiated a salary of $100,000 raise before leaving, because, you know, that helps. I got a signing bonus of $60K. And before I left that job, that $60K signing bonus turned into the seed money for my business. So you all heard like the company only made $800 the first couple of months it was in existence. That first calendar year that we were in existence, or the first, like from August to December of that year when we had to pay our first tax bill, we didn't really make no money. But after that, we did six figures our first full 12 months in business. But it was on the backs of the 6 months or so where we only made $800. And I don't want you guys to miss this. I did live videos every day. I posted every day. I pitched people in the DMs every day. I pitched every day, even when it didn't look like I was making money. And what I hear a lot from new entrepreneurs, and let me know if you've ever said this, oh, I tried it, but it didn't work. And you didn't try it. You did it for a day. You did it for a week. You did it for 30 days. Oh, I did coaching and it didn't work. And you didn't listen. You didn't go through the whole portal. You didn't analyze how they sold you. You didn't analyze their sales page. You didn't print out their sales page and see how many things actually related to you and your spirit. So you didn't give it your all. You literally gave it a try. You treated it like a slot machine at a casino, and you hoped that you would win big. And it was no strategy or dedication or discipline. But all of us call ourselves believers. Guess what? You know what disciples have in it? The word discipline. You know what Jesus was? He was disciplined. And so if you want to emulate the heart of Christ, the best thing you can do is get disciplined. When it doesn't feel like it, when they talk about you, when they don't want to work with you, when they lie on you, when they attack your name, when they slander you, you are disciplined, not because you're doing it for people, but because it's what God told you to do.
Man, I think you have foot on necks at this point. Like, listen, the chat is going off talking about that's an entire word, but I think that so many entrepreneurs, you know, like to cut themselves slack, right? Like,
Yes.
like to not give their all. And some of what people don't like when they're working for a job is that they got to always answer to somebody and have something due. But then, like, and Tequila talked about this yesterday about, like, do you really want to work for yourself? Like, would you be the one, like, would you like that job if you were hiring yourself? Like, and just thinking about how people aren't putting forth their full effort, but expecting full effort results, like that just doesn't align and that doesn't make sense. And so I would love for you to tell us, what was the mindset behind going from, you know, just that $800 year to having your first six figures, and then just the mindset shift between six figures and scaling to seven?
Yeah. And, you know, to the point that you said Tequila made, and to the point you just made, you don't become a high achiever when you start your own business. You become a high achiever wherever you're at. So when I was at the firm, I was a high achiever because I wanted to do a great job. I went and sought after more opportunities, not less. I wasn't pass on work. So you need to, if you really want to be a high achiever, then you should be a high achiever at your day job. I should be able to go to your day job and they're like, oh, she cold. I don't know what she do, but every time I see her, she doing something dope. She started an initiative here that we still have. Like, that's when you become a high achiever. So the biggest thing that helped me go from 0 to 6 and stay motivated, my husband and I had a conversation. I got married really young. We were dating for 6 months and I was not, I'll say this because I know you all are a room of believers. I would not say this in a normal interview, but my husband and I wasn't a virgin when I got married, but we were celibate. So we were dating for like maybe 6 months. It wasn't long. And we were both just getting to know each other. And so I got married at 22 and he was 23. So when we got married, I was in law school. And that took a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it taught me something that I still use today, which was studying. So 6 figures was really about studying. It was every day I woke up, I listened to the Side Hustle Pro podcast. Shout out to Nikayla. She does not even know how much she impacted my entrepreneurial journey. I listened to sermons from like Pastor Mike and some of the other pastors. Oh no, there was a pastor, Bishop Joseph something. One of my friends sent it to me, but it was so good. I used to listen to him every day. I feel like there's a pastor for every season of my life. And I would just go after it. I would do my live videos and whatever I love doing most, I would do last. So for me, I like going live. So I would say, hey, if you pitch 100 people today, then you can go live, but not like doing live videos first. And I get all amped up and then I don't do my pitching, because pitching is what you do in the dark. Now, here's the thing. I'm a performer. I'm a speaker. I like being on stage. Some people be like, I don't know why the Lord called me, because I never like to say, I know why the Lord called me to this. I like the stage, okay? Like, I like performing. I love speaking. However, because I like the stage, what I have to make sure of is that I'm willing to do the things in the dark that will allow me to sustain the stage. So if the stage is what I like, then that's my reward. I'm going to do that last because I would do that anyways. But what I would wake up and do is all the stuff I didn't want to do. I would eat the frog, as they say. So I would do my pitching. I would organize my day. I would follow up with clients via email. I would do those things first. And then I would go live as my reward, because my husband would be like, you in there yelling at them 3 people. They're not going to buy anything. Like, did they even buy anything? You're talking to all those people all that time. I'm like, no, they didn't buy anything, but that's okay. And then I would pitch Facebook groups to go in and speak to their audience, because I realized other people have audiences. And I hired a VA to help me with sales, not to do anything cute, but like to help me with sales. Like, her job was just pitching. But that's how we got our start. Like, that was 6 figures was about studying, learning my voice, doing it when no one listened, doing it when no one cared. It was getting rejected. It was starting from the bottom, even though I had status in corporate. And I think I work with a lot of experts who have how many of y'all have, if y'all got a bachelor's degree, drop BA in the chat. If you have a master's, drop master's in the chat. A lot of our audience is highly degreed and credentialed. And so they will not, Candace, they will not be like getting rejected. They're just like, I don't like that. Like, I already got this degree. I already got this good job. How dare they reject me? And I had to go learn from people who didn't talk the way I talked. I had to learn from people who maybe didn't have any degrees at all, who just knew social media, but that was what they knew and I needed to know it. I had to really humble myself and be like, all right, I'm out here, I'm getting rejected. They're hiring lawyers who don't even got law degrees to do legal work. It's wild on the internet, but that's okay. Let me go learn from these people. Let me look at this fake lawyer stuff and be like, why they like her? Oh, because she uses Tupac references and Biggie references. And so the first company we started was a law firm. So I started looking up rappers and Cardi B and Beyonce and figuring out what were their legal issues and talking about that. And lo and behold, people were booking sales calls and wanting to sign up for services. So instead of, some of y'all have people you don't like because you know they're not qualified. But what shrewdness says is fine. Let them be fake, but don't let them outmarket you. So let me go study what they're doing and figuring out why they're attracting people who should be working with me, and let me get more strategic. Like, what's the point of hating them? They're using what they got. You need to use what they got, what you got. You need to use all of it, okay, to outmarket the competition. And if you really think that so many people are scammers, how dare you not learn how to market and sell better than them? How dare you not learn how to outsell a scammer? I wish I would let a scammer outsell me. I'm going to learn and figure out what I need to do so that I can save people who should not be like working with those frauds. I ain't going to be punked by no frauds.
Listen, I love this so much because I say that all the time when it comes to marketing with scammers. I'm like, these scammers are real confident. Why aren't you? Like, they confidently taking people money knowing they wrong. Like, and you over here bringing something of value to the marketplace and you playing scared. Like, what? That does
And
not.
don't know anything. I literally know a woman who did not have a law degree doing dozens of trademarks. Like with pride, just like, I'm like, wow, okay, lady, of all the things you could have pretended to be, you're going to pretend to be a lawyer. That's wild. So that was our first business, was law. And that was wild. But we did that for several years, got that business up. And then I did law because I worked as a lawyer and I knew it was an easier transition so that I wasn't going to be just out here. You know, some people be like, I'm leaving my job on faith. I'm just going to jump out, like, be strategic. And then from there, I went and started on this, while having my law firm, I went and started Speak Your Way to Cash. And once they both were doing about $500,000, that's when I closed the law firm. Now, that was a big faith move because we had our clients. Number one, we had famous clients. We had great clients. We've almost, maybe we've had 2 legal clients out of all the ones we serviced that did not pay us. Like, they were incredible, paying me $5 to $20K a month for legal services. And I had to leave. And I felt really bad. I was like, God, I can't let down my clients. I just feel like it's out of integrity. So if you want me to close this firm, let these people fire me. And I was very good at what I did. So when I got calls, I like literally within like an hour, I think, of that prayer, I got calls that was like, hey, we're going to pause our contract. We love what you do, but it's just, we're going through restructuring. And I was like, oh my goodness, that prayer worked. So when the last client, paused, they said pause too. They didn't even want to like say fire, but they were basically firing me. So when the last client paused, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I can leave. And I felt so free. And my husband was like, do not close that firm. I was like, Lord, you're going to have to work on him because he is not trying to have me walk away from nothing. So we closed the firm, we do the business. And the first year Speak Your Way to Cash made over $1 million on its own. We were relentless. Here's what we did. Our goals dictated our action. Our goals were not static numbers on a sheet of paper. And for so many people, their goals don't dictate their action. So for me, if we want to make $100K a month, which is what we wanted, we didn't want to just hit $1 million that first year. We were like, we want to do 1.3, 1.4. So if we were at 70K, I did another launch. I wasn't just like, oh, we're not going to make it. If we're a week away from the end of the month and we're not at our numbers, I'm doing another launch. If we don't hit our goals, I'm doing another live stream. I just worked that year and stretched my team beyond all imagination. We did 17 launches. The first year we made over $1 million. And it was, my friend, I hear people say this like, well, I don't want to work that hard. I don't want it to kill me. And I'm just like, you don't even know your limit because you won't even push it. You're so focused on not burning out that you don't even know where your limits are. And how can you be great at anything if you don't even know where your upper limits are? Most people will never see their upper limits because they're so busy focused on not reaching it. But it's like, you don't realize how this works. What happens is whatever my upper limit is at this stage in my life will not be my upper limit next year. My upper limit will continue to go up because as I push myself, I get stronger. I realize where that limit is. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I need more energy. So I need to change my workout routine. I need to change what I eat. You don't just stop. And it's really women who say that too. It's like, oh, my family, I got to have a good marriage. You know how many people have bad marriages and they still ain't busy or rich? That is not, you being wealthy doesn't make you have a bad marriage. You working hard doesn't make you have a bad marriage. I have a great marriage. And I work hard. Like, that's not how that works. If you want a great marriage and you want to work, then you need to be praying for strategies to have both. And my pastor, Darius Daniels, who I absolutely adore, him and his wife, Shamika, are awesome. He said something that really changed my life. He said, in the world, you have to sacrifice success or wealth. But in the kingdom, you get to have it all. That's what makes being a believer so powerful. But you get to live at the level of your belief. So whatever you think God can do is the level at which you will live. So if you believe God cannot make you financially successful, have a great marriage with great intimacy, have an amazing relationship with your family, because the wealth will like somehow make you a devil, then you get to be broke and a believer. But if you believe God can do abundantly more than you could ask or think, then you get to live in a state of perpetual abundance. You only get to live at the level of your belief, though.
Get the people together, please, and thank you. I mean, I love that so much, and I love Pastor Darius Daniels. Like, honestly, I think so much um of believers, especially when we're talking about marketplace ministry, is understanding, getting over that big hurdle of we deserve wealth and we deserve to make money, and like you said, have it all. If you've learned anything from this podcast, I know you're gonna love the Go Getter Confidential Click at gogettermembership.com. It's a global membership community for Christian women entrepreneurs to connect, build wildly profitable service-based businesses, and grow their faith. So whether you're just getting started with an idea or you already have an established brand and you want to lay the foundation for six-figure income, the Go Getter membership is just what you need. With expert masterclasses, monthly prayer, and tons of courses and downloads, your business will be better because of it. Entrepreneurship isn't easy, but this community will help you go from feeling stuck to clear and motivated. Join today at gogettermembership.com and save 50% off your first 3 months when you use code podcast at checkout. We'll see you inside. So I got, we only got a little bit of time left, and I got so many questions pouring in. So I'm going to try to get to these 3 questions in hopes that we can get through them all. But the first question is connected to what we were just talking about is, a lot of times believers feel guilty for making money, or they feel like, dirty, or like they just can't, or like just guilty and nervous about making money and making millions, and including God in that. So what do you say to people with that mindset?
I would say here, because the thing is, I've always kept it very separate until recently. And I would keep my business separate from my faith. And I would try not to like merge the two, because I didn't want to. I used to be a minister. My husband was a minister. We ran a church. He was an assistant pastor of a church. So I used to keep it separate, because I was like, if I go up and I speak and I say something wrong, but I don't say God or I don't say the Bible, well, that's not that bad. But if I go up and like misquote a scripture or misrepresent God, well, then that's horrible. But then God placed this on my heart, which was, you're teaching people how to pitch and live outside their comfort zone, but you're not teaching them your belief system. If you don't teach people your belief system, then how is that a witness to me? Here's the truth, you guys. More people ask me about God, the more money I make. Why? Because it looks good. Like me being able to travel. We're about to go on a first-class trip to Ghana, Bangkok, Singapore, some other place in Thailand, and we're flying first and we're living our best lives with my family. So more people are in my DMs. How are you able to do this? If my answer is, I'm able to do this because, one, we make millions of dollars through God's grace. Like, we're able to do it through God's grace. It's not just that, it's not that God gives money. My pastor says, God does not give money. God gives you the power to get wealth. But that power piece is critical, because you need the power to be consistent while people are attacking you and telling you it will not work. That's power. Do you know how powerful you are? And the Holy Spirit is what? Power. So here's the deal, right? The wealthier you are, the more you will draw. Why do you think Beyonce's concert did so well? Look at how she was on stage. That blingy stuff she had, the level of excellence she operated in, whether you believe she's a Christian or not, it doesn't matter. She draws through her level of excellence and opulence. As believers, we are able to do the same. It doesn't have to look the same. I don't got to have the booty shorts and all that, but I can still draw by living a particular lifestyle. How many people are drawn to poverty as like, hey, show me how to not have nothing. Show me how my business can fail, sis. Show me the God you believe that makes you inconsistent every single day so your business doesn't generate revenue. I've never had anyone ask me that, but I have had people say, because of what you are teaching, because of how your witness, I want to stop drinking. I want to be celibate on my journey of finding a husband. If that's what got you, Chris, y'all look pretty dope. Maybe I should be trying that out. So it's a witness. It's a witness. It's a draw. So now we do talk about our faith. We do talk about faith and business. We do talk about how we believe in Jesus Christ and our viewpoint of Christ. It's so many Christians, you guys, But if you have a view of God that makes you feel strong and powerful, that is still a rarity, because most people's view of God makes them act like a slave. It does not make them act like a king or a queen. So the believers who really know abundance and opulence and freedom should be talking about it. God does not want you scared all the time. He does not want you to be fearful and fear nothing but God. Be bold. Look at how Jesus moved. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared. He was powerful. And some people are like, oh, well, Jesus wasn't rich. I'm like, well, actually, Jesus was rich. He was very rich. He just didn't have to show it. Right? And Jesus did what he needed for his mission. What do you need to do for your mission? How do you need to show up for your mission? How do you need to draw people for the power that you have? Literally, that's what I would say to that is I don't even know if that thought process is from God. Who gets blessed by that thought process? Who wins if all the believers start to believe that line of thinking?
Man, listen, the way you broke that down, listen, I love it so much. I do have a question for you because, we started talking about how when I first quit my job, you were still on your corporate job. And I think a lot of times when you're still in that place where you're on a corporate job, but God is calling you full-time entrepreneurship, it can be so scary. And you think you get stuck in your head so much, right? And so talk to us about your transition off of corporate. And a lot of people keep asking wait, how did you negotiate? What are you talking about? You negotiated more money when you were getting ready to get off your corporate job. I would just love to hear about that transition out and the faith it took to make that transition.
Yeah. So I was at a law firm, the law firm that I started with right out of law school. I ended up negotiating a 6-figure raise to go to a different law firm. And in that negotiation process, I negotiated a $60,000 signing bonus. Well, when I got to that firm, the discrimination was even worse than at my first firm, which it wasn't really that bad there. But at my second firm, it was pretty bad. So I was only there for 5 months. And the signing bonus term said that I had to stay for 6 months in order to keep the signing bonus. But I told them I could leave quietly or I could leave by doing interviews about how I'm the only Black woman and how you all can't keep a sister for longer than a year. They said they didn't want me to do no interviews. And y'all know I told them I like the stage now, child. I was like, so it's up to you. It's up to you. How you want me to go, So we left. I left from there and I used that money as my kind of seed money for my business.
So good. So how did you feel comfortable making that transition? Because I feel like you've talked so much about your poor treatment at these companies, but was there a single thing that made you be like, all right, I'm gonna obey God and make the transition?
I was a trial lawyer, so my personality type is I'm not scared of a fight. I'm not naturally submissive. I like working with brilliant people, but I also like to be respected in my work. So I had a Dr. Sakina said I'm not either, sis. Yeah, I'm not naturally even with my husband, it was it took a lot. I was like, okay, let me figure out where you leading me. You know what I mean? So with my company, this was what happened. So there was a white paralegal. She came in my office, and right after coming in my office for a meeting, her boss and my boss came in my office and was like, hey, just so you know, the paralegal, she actually has her law degree too. So maybe you can go to her office. She's been here longer than you. And even though she's a paralegal, she kind of feels bad coming in here. You make so much more than her, this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh no, see, the way my actual law degree and bar admission is set up, she is going to have to come to my office. It's not a big thing, but it's also not normal for you to ask me as a lawyer to go in my assistant's office, my paralegal's office, and have meetings with her because she feels insecure. And you would never ask me this if I were a white woman. And so I was like, I want to have a conversation with you. And I was like, hey, I've done my research. I'm the third woman of color to leave within a year if I were to leave now. Why is it that you all cannot keep women of color in this department? And she didn't like that question. And so we had a meeting and they were like, you should, I think, because it's weird, because I always tell people, I feel like I quit, and I feel like they also were firing me. I feel like it was a mutual decision. So that's pretty much how I left. But I will say this, whatever environment you're in is sending you signals. the signals that I was getting at that firm were all of the Black people were like working in security or working in the kitchen, but they were not working in offices. Maybe we had some assistants, but even that, there were not many Black assistants. And so the message I was getting is you can be here, but only in a supporting servant role. That's why I didn't go in that lady's office. I don't really care if I go in your office or not, but it was the signal that I was not willing to accept. And I also recognize that if someone is paying me $300,000 a year, I could likely be getting millions on my own. So I want everyone here who's in a corporate environment to know, one, there's nothing wrong with working at corporations. Make sure you work for someone who's going to push you to be great. But two, make sure you don't allow their insecurities to become your confidence level. Because had I worked there and it's like, oh, I am bad and I don't deserve, blah, blah, blah. That's why it's more important for you to speak to God than to speak to people. And if you're at a place in your life where you feel like your confidence is under attack, it's likely because you're listening to and speaking to people more than you're speaking to and listening to and believing God. So wherever you're at, you're there to learn. You're not there to be limited. Like, you're not like if I would have accepted what they were saying about me, oh, she's probably not that good. Oh, she's probably a diversity hire. Oh, this, oh, that. I wouldn't have been able to leave confidently and go into a new season where I'm giving advice. As a service-based business, people don't start following you when they become your client. They start following you from the day they meet you, because leaders have followers, period. And so if you're not, and then leaders are also followers of other great leaders. So if you're not willing to fight for your confidence, it's going to be very difficult for you to be an entrepreneur. So in fact, you undercharging, you not being consistent has less to do with you not knowing what to do and more to do about your confidence level. So that's what you need to protect, is that confidence, your belief. Just listen to what God says about you. So many Christians are taught false humility. Oh, well, now I'm prideful because I'm saying I'm the best at this and I'm good at that. No, you are who you are. If Jesus were walking around today, he would be seen as arrogant, hands down. He was going in other people's stuff, telling them they were wrong because his father told him so. That would be seen as arrogant. That would be seen as like, oh, you're not respecting your elders. You're not showing deference. You don't need to show deference to everyone walking around. You need to show deference to Christ. And so when you're thinking about who to invest with, who to work with, like what Lamar was talking about, I want to work with somebody who has other powerful people around them. If I go in and only the leader looks confident and everyone else looks like they're like slaves or working for, like, they're like scared, like they're like, I don't like that, especially for Black environments. So Candace is bringing you here and she's showing you all these other leaders that are her peers so that she's not scared. Like, oh, if you meet her, then maybe you won't work with me. That's weak energy. I don't work with people that's like that, right? Because it's not about that. So you just have to be very, very, very careful. After you decide, the only other choice is to move, period. Decide, then move, and keep moving when all opposition comes. Like, are you bigger than your problems? And the last thing I'll say to you guys is this, because I know we're running out of time. Here's what I say to myself so I don't get overwhelmed. This is what I say. I cannot simultaneously pray for bigger if small is taking me out. So anytime I even start to think I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, oh, but how am I overwhelmed? I got less than 5 employees. I'm gonna have hundreds. So clearly this is nothing to me. This is nothing for God. Oh, I'm stressed out. Oh, I only make 2-3 million this year. That's not enough. So clearly this can't be overwhelming to me. So there is no way on heaven's earth that a good father will look at you and the plate that you have and be like, oh, I'm gonna give her all these other clients if your 2 clients is taking you out because you didn't price right. That means you didn't steward well. So like, I can't pray for big if small is taking me out. We have to get stronger as believers. We don't need less. We need to learn how to carry more.
Listen, man, you don't price right. You're not stewarding well. Listen, that is baby, that is a whole word in itself. So as we transition out, I would love to know, what would you say to the woman who's afraid of going after her next big thing, and how can we find you and stay connected with you online?
Definitely. I would say if God doesn't give us the spirit of fear, then who does it come from? And who do you trust more to lead your life, God or the devil? Because if every decision is based on fear, then you are letting the enemy lead you instead of letting God empower you. And every time you think about that, I want you to make it that clear, that simple, that plain. If God didn't give me that feeling, but that's the feeling leading me, then I am allowing the enemy to take me down a path that God is not destined for me. And I'm not willing to do that. And I think we need to get more dogged. I like that you had Prophetess Tiffany Montgomery speak, because one of the things about her is people have a lot to say about her. But let me tell you, I believe everything. I believe that she believes everything she says because it's clear and it's solid. And I think you have to quit allowing people who mean you harm to make every decision for you in your life. So why are you scared? You're probably scared because somebody when you were young said you wasn't cute or you wasn't good enough or you wasn't that. But if you're still thinking about it in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, then you allowing a hater to lead every decision in your life and your future. Can you afford that? Can your future generations afford that? Like, let me know in the chat. Can y'all afford? I can't afford that. I can't afford to let a hater lead my life. I just cannot afford that. I don't trust them like that. So that's what I would say to the person who's afraid. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. So where's it come from? Like, and who are you letting lead you, God or the devil? And read this book by Napoleon Hill. It's called Outwitting the Devil. That book is really good. There's another book called The Bait of Satan, and it's all about offense. I love those books because The Bait of Satan is going to show you that your inability to take feedback that is constructive is keeping you small and unseen. Like, you cannot be offended out here if you're going to get coaching, if you're going to be in a coaching community, if you're going to be around people who really love you, they're going to tell you when you're wrong. So I would recommend those books, Outwitting the Devil and John Bevere, The Bait of Satan. I've read it a couple times. I'm about to read it again. And then you all can find me on Facebook in the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group and on Instagram at the Ashley Nicole Show. Just follow me on there. I'm going live and all that stuff, talking and doing what I love to do. But I want y'all to know this. I didn't always want to be an entrepreneur. I thought it would be too difficult. I thought I'd be struggling and I thought that I couldn't do it. Frankly, I was just like, I'm not about that struggle life. So I didn't always think I could be an entrepreneur. I didn't start my business to make millions. I started it to replace my salary. So once we hit 300K, that goal was met. But something in me said there was more for me. And so if you're like, this all seems like a lot, I don't know if I can do it. Guess what? Me too. I thought that at one point. So don't let that be the reason you don't do it, But when you really start understanding who God is, God the Father, God the Empowerer, like, there is just no way you don't want to change the world. Jesus did it with 12. He walked over 3,000 miles. No way you can't send 3,000 pitches and change your life.
Man, I have chills just listening to you. And I know the chat been talking about they could sit and listen to this conversation all day, but it has been so good. Thank you so much, Ashley. This has been so incredible. And thank you for pouring so effortlessly and just showing us what marketplace ministry looks like and showing us that we can be beautiful, that we can make the money, that we can have the family. Like you said, we can have it all. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Congrats on everything. I'm always so happy to see you win. And yes, keep it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Go Getter podcast. If you love this conversation, you're going to love the panels and workshops that are at Go Getter Conference. It's our premier event of the year, and it happens annually. It's going to help you market and monetize your God-given ideas and connect with women from across the globe. Head over to gogetterconference.com to check it out right now. And just for staying until the end of this episode, we have a special gift for you, the Go Getter Plan and Profit Workbook. This workbook is going to help you plan your income for the year. So head to gogetterpodcast.com/plan and profit to get your copy. And don't forget to drop a 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you on the next episode of the Go Getter Podcast.